Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 483. My opponent kicked off with f4 here, the bird opening, or bird's opening. And I played the from gambit with e5. Of course, you don't have to play that. I think d5 is a fine way to play and good enough for a slight edge for black. But e5 is an interesting way to play. And white should probably take that pawn and go for the gambit. That's his best hope for an advantage here in this position. But white can also play e4 and go into the king's gambit, an interesting transposition. But my opponent plays d3 here and declines the from gambit. So I should be okay here with either e takes f4, that's what I played, or knight to c6 here. Looks like a fine move as well, just defending that pawn. But I was actually a little bit unsure about this because it does develop his piece. But it turns out I can play the move d5 here and get a good central advantage. And so that's the main idea with taking. I didn't play that. I played knight to f6. And now we get a position that's about even. But after a few moves, I managed to get some slight edge and hold it. Oh yeah, he lets me play d5. That's the point. Since I didn't play d5 right away, he could have played e4 right here and gotten the big center for himself and had more of an advantage. When he goes knight f3, he lets me get in this move d5. And from this point on, for quite a while, I have a pretty comfortable edge in the game. So let's just play on. This is a long game, so I may not comment on every move, just some normal development. I'd wanted to trade off his only developed, or one of his few developed pieces here, so I thought that would be good. And if he trades, that brings my queen out. So he declines the trade. Castle. More development. I kick the bishop, and he stays on with the pin. Stays with the pin. Go bishop to f5. Getting another piece out. Castles. And I drop the bishop back to h7. I didn't want the bishop in the line of that rook where it could be subject to a discovery. And already you can see there is some pressure on my position. He just needs to move this knight away. But that's why I played knight to d2 here to oh no, he played knight to d2. If we back up, did he have a way of doing any kind of discovery? I guess there's no great moves with the other knight. Okay, so he played knight to d2. I went bishop to e7, shoring up my knight that way and unpinning. He goes c3, kind of a funny configuration, but he has the idea of playing d4 later. And I go knight to g4, so I spot a kind of weakness in his position. And if we back up, at the point when I played bishop e7 because I was worried about that pin, I could have already here played queen to e7 or rook to e8, just starting to put pressure on that backwards e-pawn, and that would be the most effective way to play this position. Okay, so bishop e7, c3, and knight to g4. This takes advantage of the weakness, but in a different way. So it's kind of a double attack. I'm attacking e3 and also attacking his bishop. His bishop has to retreat if he takes. This is kind of instructive. I can take back, and he can save the pawn by pushing on to e4, but the square e3 is still weak. The knight can drop in there with a fork of the queen and the rook. So he really can't afford to take my bishop. He has to drop back. And then I decide to trade off his bishop and gain the bishop pair. And you'll see pretty comfortable edge for me. I played c5 here. Got a little more space in the center, and I've got the bishop pair. So, like I said, I keep an advantage for a while here. He plays knight f1, maybe not the most active way to play. I get my pieces out. He goes on with d4. So he does get his stake in the center, but he is left with a backwards e-pawn, which maybe I can target later. I go bishop d6, getting that bishop back on an active diagonal. Bishop d3, and I decide to trade. So all this is okay, keeping some edge. But this move, knight e7, maybe is not the best move here. What's a good plan here? I mean, I start rerouting my pieces when I haven't really gotten my rooks in the game. A rook on the e file and a rook on the c file probably makes more sense in this position. The engine also likes pushing on with c4, which has pros and cons. You're sort of sealing up the position there. Okay, so knight e7, not the best. And he pushes on with e4. And so we get to a position where white is basically equalized here. Queen takes, and c takes, Knight takes. So yeah, the exchange is in the center, and yeah, you can see the position is really just about even. And I played bishop to c5, which is a mistake. I've neglected something after this trade. Starting at this point, after queen takes e4, this queen is looking at my b2 pawn, which is not defended. Now I throw in c takes d4, which is okay. He reacts to that. But now at this point, I should really take care of this pawn. The engine is recommending queen d7 or knight to c6. Anyway, I played bishop c5. He could just snatch that pawn, but he goes rook to d2, threatening my queen indirectly through the knight. I played knight c6 now, which blocks the queen's view of that pawn, so momentarily I'm not losing a pawn. And he has no great discoveries because, well, knight moves like that, I can take the rook. The rook is not defended there. So the only knight moves that would be of interest would be these moves that also defend the rook. Let's see, after knight b6, I should check this out because this is like a double attack. Yeah, I played knight c6. It's his move here. Oh, he can't. It's pinned. Okay, sorry about that. There's a pin. That's why he can't play that move. So I don't have to worry about that discovered attack just at the moment. So he played the move rook a to d1, just piling up on the d file. And I decided to trade off here on d4. But, well, once again, this leaves my b pawn hanging. So it's the same problem. I'm just neglecting the pawn on b2. And after this exchange, drop back. He grabs on b7, and actually now from this point forward, white stays, has an advantage and keeps it. Not only is he a pawn up, but well, this is a dangerous passed pawn. I have to respect that. You know, it's these isolated pawns can be a weakness if you can organize your forces to attack them, but it's getting closer to the end game, and he's got all his pieces out ready to support that pawn. So it's a pretty dangerous position for me. Okay, I tried queen f6 here. He goes king h1 to unpin the pawn. It couldn't move forward, but now it can. I chase his queen around. Drops back to e4. Rook to e8, chasing the queen some more. The queen goes over to g4. And rook e to d8, putting my rook in front of the pawn. So he brings his knight around. I was thinking knight to here might be better, but let's go back, just to support the immediate pawn push. Of course, he can push that pawn any time, so maybe it's not a big deal. The engine is suggesting b3, actually, just to shore up that weakness there and then push the pawn. Okay, interesting. So he went knight to g3, still keeping an edge for white. I go rook to d5, trying to blockade the pawn where it is, and he brings his knight into e4. So that was his idea, getting to a good square and harassing my queen. Drop back to e7, and he goes to c3, kicking my rook back. So he's making progress step by step. h3, giving his king a little lift. And I bring my other rook to the d file. He pushes on with d5. So one step forward, one step closer to the touchdown. So still, it's going to take a bit of maneuvering. I tried bishop a5, trying to keep his pieces a bit tied up here. Maybe an exchange would help me win a pawn. He goes rook to d3, unpinning. I trade off that knight anyway. I thought it would be better, but I was wrong here. You see the advantage. The advantage suddenly shifts. What I didn't appreciate about this move, bishop takes c3, is that it pulls this pawn over to the c file, and now he has a pair of passed pawns. So this is really a big blunder. It may have looked like a little mistake in the game, but really this move throws the game away. Bishop takes c3. So I need to just keep maneuvering. It's tough because I always want to do something active, but there's nothing really active I can do here. Bishop to c7 is a suggestion from the chess engine, or queen to e5. Yeah, just kind of little moves that don't do a whole lot, but keep all the pieces on the board and don't do things to help my opponent improve his pawn structure. Yeah, I thought I was removing a defender of the pawn, but this c-pawn can come up, and he's got a dangerous pass-pawn duo. So white is just winning at this point and should go on to win the game with good play. Let's see. So let's see where he goes wrong. He plays... oh, it's my turn. I play queen a3, going after this pawn here. Brings his queen back to defend. a5. And now he should probably just push on with c4 rather. He played queen to c2. I still can't stop this pawn from being pushed forward. It was probably better though for him to push it immediately, but he gets that c4 pawn push in anyway. And now he gave me a little bit of time, so now I can try and blockade this. So he gave up a little bit of his edge there by not pushing immediately. I go rook d6, so now these pieces can't be chased out by the knight. That's the one advantage of trading off that knight. But still, he's got a tremendous edge here with those passed pawns. Connected passed pawns. Yeah, not protected, connected passed pawns. Okay, he goes queen at a4. Just some maneuvering here, trying to find a way into my position. I go rook b8, he goes a3. Go king h7. I'm just kind of doing some waiting moves here, seeing if he can make progress. I don't have any great plan here other than to try and stop these pawns. So queen c2, he's doing a little maneuvering too, lining up against my king there, so I want to stop that potential discovered check. Goes a4. And a4 is a mistake. He's got a good position here, controlling the b4 square, right? So I can't play rook b4 to pile up on his pawns. So he really shouldn't move that pawn forward. He should just continue maneuvering with his pieces. Queen c3, rook f3. These are suggestions. I think, lining up on the f file and getting a rook here to try and clear the blockade is probably a good idea in this position. So rook f3 seems like it's a start in that direction. Okay, a4. So this gives me a little bit of hope. I play rook b4, but he still has a pretty good edge here. Rook to c3, king to g7. I didn't want this pawn to come under attack. Rook to b1, challenging my rook. And now I should trade rooks or take on d5. So let's see what I missed here. I retreat. Oh, I played rook to f6 and left the trade in. So let's first take a look at rook takes b1. Rook takes, queen takes, and then rook takes d5. Ah, that's the trick. Yeah, there often is a tactic there. You pull the queen away, and now you've got a pin on this against the rook there, so you can grab a pawn. So that's the way for me to equalize in this position. So, and the other idea is to play rook takes d5 immediately. I guess with a similar concept. If he takes, well, I still play here with check. He doesn't want to run away with the king, so takes. And now it's with the queens on. This is closer to drawing. This is still very dangerous, though. He might have winning chances here. But that was certainly my best move in that position. Take advantage of that pin on the rook right here. Okay, so I didn't spot that. I played rook f6, so that opportunity is gone. But still, I'm blockading things, and I played rook f2. Also, my pieces are getting active. And right here, actually, his next move is a mistake. So this is a tactical quiz for you. After rook to d2, which is the move he played, what's my response? How do I take advantage of that move? Okay, I'm going to give the answer away. He played rook d2, and I just traded because I saw that I had a chance to win one of these pawns. But it's much stronger to go for the check on the back rank. So hopefully you guys spotted that. King only has one move, and now I can get on this diagonal. Although if you look at it, queen d6 check is not the strongest move here. The strongest move is rook b to b1. Very instructive play here, piling up on the back rank. So those pieces cannot be chased away from the back rank without the loss of material. And now this threat is much more serious. So, well, to show some examples, if he played queen d3 with the idea of blocking, I deliver this check, and if he goes here, then it's checkmate. So that's no good. And if he blocks with the g-pawn, then the queen can come to f6. And now there's this big threat. With the queen blocking the escape squares, there's this threat of rook h1 check followed by rook g1 mate. So he's really in a box here. So that's not the best defense. Let's see. The best defense at this point is queen to e4. And we actually get into quite a long, involved line here. queen d6 check is immediately is probably good, but you see it's not an immediate win, so chasing the king out is stronger. And then queen d6 check. And now he's got a choice of bad moves here, but so queen f4 it looks like is the best try. If the king comes to f2, just by the way, if the king comes to f2, then the rook can come over and chase the king in front of the queen, and there's some nice tactics there to take advantage of. So queen f4 is the best try. And now I don't know if I would have spotted this move. This is it looks like white is actually out of his troubles, and the only way for black to continue, but it's also a win, is to sack the rook. Rook takes h3. So I thought this was a really interesting line, g takes, and that's so the other rook can get into the game. Rook takes, and if the king moves away, the whole point is that this queen is under attack the whole time, and all those moves are with check. If the king ever moves away from the queen, then I'll pick up the queen, and I'll be queen and rook against two rooks. So it was worth it to sack a rook for that. But if he keeps his king next to the queen, I can just keep checking, and he can block. Eventually, he's going to have to go into the situation where I have a queen against a rook. The engine is saying, let's see, yeah, king f2. It's the only move there. Yep. So that's how to win. But well, it's a bit of a complicated line, but it starts out kind of naturally. So that rook f1 move, I really should have spotted that and tried to play that or make it work. Anyway, what I spotted was that I could take off this rook and get a pawn back. And now with rook takes c4, it's a bit simpler. But well, he still has this dangerous passed pawn. This is a difficult position for me. He should push it immediately with d6. That's how he can probably still have a winning edge here. He played queen takes a5, grabbing another pawn, and I just went for the perpetual here, and so that's how I escaped from my troubles. He could try going to g1. But, well, it looks like I still have checks with queen d4. So anyway, we just repeated moves here. And the game was agreed to a draw. So pretty interesting game. Both of us missed wins there in the heat of the battle. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.